Yay, it's the Washington Monument. If you look very carefully at the top, there's the holes to see. It looks just like a Ku Klux Klan member. Crazy phallic symbol of our nation. Holler.
Who's the president during World War II?
So here we are at the World War II Memorial. On the Atlantic side, I'm going to read off the names of the locations. We've got the Virgin Islands, the Philippines, and here we are.
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico. Yes, people from here, they like fight like over there, like stuff, and a whole bunch of other places.
States.
Atlantic. Okay. And if we go around, we see this is the World War II Memorial. The whole circle. Beautiful. Here's
Duck is chilling.
a chilling duck. Duck, are you responsible for this mess that we find? I think so. Look what the Republicans did when they came. They spread their...
Now it's Obama's fault.
No, this is what the Republicans were on the mall. And look what they left.
This is Bush's America.
This is what... Look what Glenn Beck left when he came. All of this dookie. Here we go. We have some geese. These are the criminals that are responsible for all of this.
That explains the goose shit.
Yeah, it definitely explains the goose too.
It may be all those geese who are shitting and leaving behind all that
Look, it's
goose.
Glenn Beck.
And his followers.
His followers. A gaggle of geese.
Like, rip your head off right now. You don't even care. You just whatever.
This is like closer than a zoo and shit.
Yeah. Some bold ass birds. Maybe we'll get to
see Quart Road right
fresh.
It's fresh.
Right under his ass. That's fresh. That's fresh. Wow. Everywhere you see under their ass is a fresh turd.
Watch the floor.
Watch the floor. Turds everywhere.
Oh my god. That's hilarious.
Look at that. He's got one leg up. He's ready to drop something. He's going to drop a turd.
Didn't they have a rally here before? Like, seriously, did they clean this?
We're in the shadow of Abraham Lincoln, the guy who won the Civil War. And all you're going to do is shit and eat over here? Like this is the projects? Come on, man. What the fuck? Have some respect. God. He fought the Civil War to free y'all, and then he was shitting all over his monument. What the fuck? Some gratitude, huh?
Here we are outside of the Lincoln Memorial.
Find out what's into this shit.
Here we are. It is a gaggle of geese.
A disgrace to Abraham Lincoln.
A gaggle.
This is what Lincoln was
Abercrombie and Fitch trying to be models. With flip-flops. It's the flip-flop crew. Flipping and flopping. This is so GY. Flip-flop.
Civil War was fought for these assholes so they can walk around like this?
Yeah, flip-flop.
In flip-flops?
I'm wearing the flip-flops. I could talk. But yes, this is mad funny, but anyway.
But there's 4 of them, which makes it worse. In Washington, D.C., the northwest region of Washington, D.C., on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, a memorial for Abraham Lincoln, who was the 16th president of the United States from 1861 to 1865, who was led through the country through the Civil War and was largely responsible for ending slavery and keeping the Union preserved and together. It's 2:30. We want to be at the bus by 3:30.
Gotta finish the Lincoln tour.
Yeah.
This weekend has been brought to you by the letter L and the President Lincoln.
And rabbits.
And rabbits. It's that Lincoln dude.
I know that dude.
You know that dude, recognize him.
reading it pretty much was the only book he read. So by the end of the war, which is when the speech was given, he had already sort of internalized a lot of lessons that he learned. So the essence of the speech is that the Civil War and all the death and the blood was God's punishment for slavery. And it shows you just how, by this time, just how against slavery Lincoln was, not only politically, but morally. You know, that it was like, by 1864, it was a moral law, you know, above, and that trumps everything, that trumps politics, that trumps trying to find the actual place. Yet God willed that it continue, it meaning the war, until all the wealth piled by the bondsmen 250 years ago shall be sunk, and until every drop of blood drawn with the lash shall be paid by another drawn with the sword. As was said 3,000 years ago, still said, still it must be said, the judgment of the Lord is sure and righteous. So every drop of the lash is paid for by every drop of the sword, meaning the war was a punishment for slavery, the 250 years of unrequited toil that he mentions. Lincoln's Gettysburg Address was given in November of 1863. It was given a few months after the Battle of Gettysburg, the longest battle, the biggest battle in American history, the bloodiest battle. And essentially, the battleground was being converted into a cemetery. And so, here was the speech that he was invited to make. They told him not to give a long speech, give a very short speech. So he gave this very, very short speech. Of course, the first words, 7 years ago, 27. So, a score is 20. 4 is 80 plus 7. 87 years ago. 87 years before 1863 was the year 1776, the Declaration of Independence. He's saying in 1776, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation conceiving liberty and dedicated the proposition that all men are created equal. So he's saying in 1776, the founding fathers created this idea of a democracy where you have this government for the people, by the people, blah, 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 blah. Basically what Lincoln is saying in this speech is that the Civil War is a test as to whether democracy can work. Because at this time in 1863, there were very few democracies around the world, even in Europe. You know, even Britain at this point wasn't a full-fledged democracy. There were very few democracies around the world. And so the whole world was watching to see whether this democracy, this only democracy in the world, was going to be able to survive a test like this, or whether it was going to be consumed. And basically, Lincoln's point is that this is a war to test whether democracy can work. This is a war to test to see if democracy can stand up to the monarchies and all the other governments that were going on in Europe at the time. Okay? And so he sort of made it, sort of a historical moment. He tried to put the war in a historical context and say that this is a test of democracy. This was sort of a little bit before. He went wholly against slavery, but in here, we have a quote where it says, we'll find it later, but essentially saying that if you have a democracy, you can't have slavery. And this is the opening shot of Lincoln's full-fledged change into becoming completely against slavery. He's saying there's something undemocratic about slavery, and that's the other one. Shall have a new birth of freedom. He never said it, but symbolically, a new birth of freedom. If you were living in 1863 and you heard the president say that this war was for a new birth of freedom, the bells would go off in your head that this was a war to free slaves. At this point, you could tell Lincoln wasn't politically confident in coming out saying we're going to free slaves. So he coded it like that. He shrouded it in these metaphorical words. This country will have a new birth of freedom. But essentially saying you can't. This is a war to test whether democracy can survive, and that having slavery in a democracy is immoral.